Hey guys, Letter Magic here. We got another spicy headline, and it's not quite what you may be thinking or what you may be assuming. And in fact, even Wizards is kind of clickbaiting the title, so I'm just going to cut the crap right now and just read their first statement here. Starting with Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, set boosters will be made available in both Korean and Chinese traditional, not Chinese simplified. They're made in both, remember that. Replacing draft boosters completely in regions that previously received draft boosters in these languages. English draft boosters may still be available. Now, they did say may, but if the stores want them, the distributors will pick them up and people will buy them in English. So, I mean, there's more English speakers in like Sweden and Germany than there are in like China and Korea, but I don't know, the English ones are worth more money. And Chinese culture really cares about money and showing off and having the fanciest of everything, which I think was partially responsible for this. Let's just say that, because the set boosters have the fancy versions of the cards, or more of them. I mean, obviously the collector's booster is more, but that's such an egregious price level. So they're not saying, hey, we're going to run this as a test, and if it works, we're coming to America. I think that's what people read the headline, and they're like, boom, that's what's happening. I don't think that's necessarily true. I also don't think it's necessarily untrue. But I would lean towards it being untrue. You never know. I mean, these Wizards we're talking about, they could just cut the draft booster and say, oh, it's all set boosters now, and they just cost more. And then that's just like a hidden, price increase. Because they've been wanting to raise the price on normal boosters for a while now, and they kind of did it by getting rid of MSRPs. So I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't really care that much unless the price was like way higher, but if they just dropped the price down on the set boosters and got rid of draft ones, cool. The problem is, the draft boosters are the ones you draft with, so how the heck are you going to draft a set booster? So are they doing this because people in Korea and Chinese areas just don't draft, or they only draft Chinese simplified because it's easier to read on the fly, or... I mean, if you want an explanation from them, I'll just read the rest of this very short statement that doesn't really explain anything, I guess. This change is part of a rebalancing of our product lineup aimed at addressing player needs and purchasing behaviors in regions served by Korean and Chinese traditional language boosters. So in other words, they printed them there and they didn't sell, so they're discontinuing them. Now you might think, why wouldn't they get rid of the overpriced fancy ones instead and just sell the cheapest ones if they're worried about packs not selling there? Well, my guess is the collector's boosters and set boosters sold more there. And like I said, kind of in Korea, but definitely in China. Oh my gosh, in China, showing off your wealth and status and look what I was able to afford and look what I own. That is like absolutely their culture right now. Didn't used to be, but then the commies came in and ironically made everybody obsessed with greed. I know, that makes all the sense in the world. So, I mean, if people are like, oh, I can buy the cheapo peasant versions of the cards, or I can buy the set boosters, which come in, more showcase frames, more foils, more borderless, and then I'm going to show up to play, with my friends with this and show off, well, then I'm going to do that, obviously. And I'm not saying everyone's like that, but a lot of people in the cities are like that, and I don't think people in the rural areas are playing Magic the Gathering. So, the thing is, though, they're still selling the Chinese simplified ones and draft boosters. I think they're just like, nobody wants the traditional ones. I thought it was a law, though, that if you make something in China, under certain circumstances, it has to be in both languages. I might be way off there. Otherwise, I mean, everything would be in simplified, but I think the government wants to preserve like the not, dumbed down version of the language. So I think this is just them backing off it a little bit to see if the government gives a crap when nobody had any kind of demand for Chinese traditional. That's my theory. Korea, I have no idea. Maybe just so many Koreans speak English. I don't know. It's more than China, I'll tell you that, but it's not anything compared to Europe. Because remember, they said the draft boosters will still or may still be available in those areas in English. So, I mean, we'll never know what the real motivation here is, but I guess I could read the rest of this almost explanation from Wizards. Our goal is to provide better access to a broad range of cards. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. They weren't selling. Shut up and tell us the truth. While still providing limited play experiences for players who want them, which is either English speakers or nobody, I guess. So set boosters, which contain cards from the list and exclusive commander-focused cards from each set, better enable players to build collections for a growing commander community. No, the Commander community isn't growing, it's just standard, modern, and everything else you ruined is shrinking. There's a difference. It's all relative. And they have a second bullet point that says, draft play will still be supported in this region. Okay, and we will be providing local game stores with options for play events on pre-release with local language boosters and or English draft boosters. That's a pre-release, not a draft, but the pre-release kits should have draft boosters in them, so that's actually interesting that they hinted at it and then didn't really say what they're doing for sure. Hey, I say sell a pre-release kit full of set boosters. Why the hell not? Although, like, the card from the commander set and the card from the list could completely overpower your deck, but... Well, I mean, didn't Strixhaven have the bonus card that was from... I don't remember all these stupid names, but the weird-looking yellow border thing that nobody wanted, but I thought was cool. Weren't those in the normal draft boosters, or were those in the set ones? I actually don't remember. Yeah, you get like a dark ritual, we're going to have a problem at that pre-release. So, yeah, it does make me wonder what they're doing. So they say players who have previously played in events in these languages should check with their local stores once we get closer to Kamigawa's release. We understand that for many players who are not otherwise affected by this change, it might signal a shift in our approach to draft boosters globally. Really? It's not like I just spent the whole video saying that. While shipping and production challenges over the past year certainly affected our ability to deliver an optimized product balance, we still shoehorned in 5 standard sets in a year instead of 4. Oh wait, no, I read that wrong. It says, period. Boy, where is my brain today that I misread that so badly? So anyway, they assure us that draft boosters are and will remain an important part of the player experience, which is not what you would say if you're like, we're planning to keep printing them for the future. In fact, that's what you would say. That actually made me more worried. They're like, oh, we understand that some players who aren't directly affected by this might start to worry that we're going to cancel them globally, but we're going to, quote, we'll have them remain an important part of the player experience. That could mean we're discontinuing sales of them everywhere in the globe if this test works out, and they're just going to be in pre-release kits. Or we're only going to sell them in, now remember they have draft kits at like the big box stores, where it's just 3 boosters and they're horribly overpriced. I think it's like $15.99 or something. Maybe they'll only sell those and they'll be exclusively for draft, and then the one you always buy will be set boosters. I think they're looking at what Pokemon is doing and how they're still remaining strong and what people are watching on YouTube, and it's the openings of the hyper premium stuff where there's just massive reprints and then alternate arts and full arts and borderless and foils and reverse foils and just everything. And then they pull the ultra rare, full art trainer with the alternate art, but then, oh, well, the rainbow version of it is even more expensive. Ooh, stay tuned. Maybe I'll pull one of those. And I think that kind of builds up the excitement. So if you're looking at like a booster from 10 years ago, you're like, oh, I might get like a foil that's not shit. Wow, how exciting. I mean, there's still money cards, but remember when they added Planeswalkers to the game? Remember when they added the Mythic Rarity to the game? I mean, they've been going this way for a while, spicing it up, because they're looking at other card games and they're like, they got like 8 variations and secret rares and may I add, you're still on top, Wizards, for now, despite your massive fuck-ups. So should you be emulating them? And in fact, I would extend that to your recent digital changes in Alchemy, where you're just absolutely copying Hearthstone, a game which everybody universally despises. It's been crashing and burning for like years now. There's no recovering it, and the people behind it are greedy morons. So you decided, hey, let's do that. Let's not use it as a lesson or like a learning experience. Let's just do what they're doing. Who thinks that way besides people from Seattle? What's the old saying that's been around for longer than I've been in the game? I believe it's the best card game in the world run by the worst company in the world. Or at least most incompetent. Worst company would be if EA bought it. So, yeah, this is worrisome, I guess. Like I said, I wouldn't really care if they phased out draft boosters and put in the set boosters, as long as they lower the price or bare minimum, keep it the same if they're that desperate about, production, supply chain, and inflation, all of which are threatening, their bargain basement, base level product, which is, of course, the draft boosters. And if they want to secretly, stealthily raise the price without raising the price, you just discontinue one product and replace it with another, and then, oh, look, it's a higher price because it's something different, and then never bring the original back. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. In this case, I just can't even make a call if that's what they're doing, because for all I know, because I don't have the statistics, they're just failing miserably in China and Korea, and they're just like, whatever, cut off the draft ones then. Or like nobody plays the game, people just collect the cards there, so that's all they buy anyway. I mean, it could be that, because there's some cultural background to that, at least in China. So, I mean, it's almost guessing and speculation with a little bit of facts behind it in theory, but we'll never know the truth. I don't think Wizards will ever come out and say, this is what really happened, but all the clever wording where they're like, we want to match purchasing behaviors, it's like a direct quote, and quote, address players' needs. I mean, what do you think that really means? It means they weren't selling. Everybody there wanted the fancy cards for some reason, or the product in general isn't selling, so which one are you going to discontinue? The expensive ones or the cheap ones? Obviously the cheap ones. But if that's the case, look at the amount of damage that COVID and Wizards of the Coast themselves, obviously the latter to a higher degree, have done to the game in the last 2 years. What if America gets there? The place where I play and care about. What if they're like, well, let's do the same there. Our paper sales are down the toilet, so what are we going to do about it? Oh, discontinue draft boosters. And they never said outright, no, this doesn't indicate anything. You're wrong. It's a conspiracy theory. We're going to keep printing them forever. Draft boosters forever. It's a core of our game. Don't worry. Like, they almost made the opposite statement at the end. Like, they set it up with that first sentence about, we understand that you might be concerned, and then the second sentence, like, doesn't do anything to convince you otherwise. Boy, that's scary. So yeah, I don't know if I'm making more out of this than there is, but without any additional facts, stats, or reality or leaks from Wizards, which my email's always open, just saying, we're just gonna have to leave it at where it is and see what happens next year. So I think they're pushing digital hard, obviously. I think that's where they're going away from paper, and that might result in a draft booster going away. So there's all kinds of ways you can look at this and say absolutely not, they're going to keep it, or absolutely they are going this way. I could make a couple logical sounding arguments for them getting rid of set boosters and keeping draft boosters in America. I mean, you just never know, but this is definitely an interesting thing to keep your eye on. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys next time.